Respected Presidium, Professor G. Satyanarayana, whom I knew since I joined as a faculty in this university from 1990 onwards, and interacted with him in several workshops relating to various social issues. And Dr. Radhakrishna Garu, Ramchandra Murthy Garu, whom I knew first when he was there in the Uday newspaper as associate editor. When we first went to sort of an article on Osmania University to be published, he has allotted total half page of it, and which was written by myself and late Krishna Reddy and your present Vice Chancellor Ravinder, etc. And since then we have been interacting through certain NGOs on several issues. Since this seminar is organized in the honor of my friend, your department colleague, Professor Ganesh, I congratulate him for successfully completing his tenure. I wish him a good, healthy and very prosperous in the sense that academic life in future. Before I begin, let me confess that regional political process is not my forte. I have been continuously, as a student, trained in School of International Studies, and throughout my career, more than 30 years, taught on international politics and related papers. Very few years, I was superimposed to teach political sociology. So I am connected to you that way. So in fact, Professor Ganesh and Professor Ram Shepherd initially asked me to sort of chair the session. That is what I have accepted. Later, Ganesh called me that he has given this theme paper and asked me to choose any topic. So I choose two topics. One is a research paper kind of a thing where I happen to do the field work on the welfare policies, particularly on the Dalit Bandhu program. And I say that if you want, I can give an observational account of education in post-Telangana. He chose so to ask me to sort of speak on education. So I am not a regional politics student. So this is basically an observational account. And that is why I specifically titled as reflections, some reflections. And when I say observational account, this is not exclusive observational account of my own. In fact, all of you relate to this thing. So hence, it is an observational account of all of us in this hall. May not be the young students, but all others who have witnessed the education system in this United Andhra Pradesh and also the last 10 years. So I am not going to, bring out any new kind of things. So try to sort of put it in some perspective. Bear with me. As you all know, that education sector, both secondary and higher, contributed significantly for the Telangana movement. The driving force behind all Telangana movements and Telangana articulations was the need for jobs and improved education. This was evident even before the formation of Andhra Pradesh in 1956. The Mulki movement in Telangana, which was, happened very short while in 1952, September to some 3 months, in the aftermath of the police action on the Nizam state of Hyderabad and Hyderabad state joining the Indian Union, expressed the Telangana demand against the intrusion of Andhra employees during the police action and encroachment of the Andhra employees into the different sectors, Singareni, Collieries, and more particularly the school education. Number of hundreds of influx of the Andhra teachers into Telangana, which was protested both by the teachers as well as the students in 1952, even before the formation of Andhra Pradesh state during the Burgula Ramakrishna Rao's period. So then also, if you look into the history of the Mulki movement, I happen to write a research paper on it, that the major role was played by the teachers and the students. And after the formation of the Andhra Pradesh states, much against the popular will of the people of this region, it was superimposed actually. And there was a movement in 1969, very popular 1969 movement. Education sector once again took a front stage. I was a student of 4th or 5th class at the time. Still we participated in our own kind of a town, etc. at that time. Without knowing anything, but everybody was going, the teachers were asked to sort of thing, we used to join. So throughout the after 1969 movement, which was suppressed, throughout the 1980s and 1990s, there was no agitation or a movement as such when compared to 2009 or 69. But throughout the 1980s and 1990s, separate Telangana idea was preserved by the academic community and the other intelligentsia of the region. On the campuses of Osmania University, Kakatiya University, a number of conferences, seminars were held. Faculty provided the contributions, scholarly articles, edited books, popular articles, research projects and publications on various issues of Telangana. Actually, the literature and data that was generated in the 80s and 90s has become the basis for the 2009 agitation. So had this not been sort of produced, and I don't think the movement could have taken this much kind of a sense. So everybody knew about the statistics, regional imbalances, cultural aspects, social aspects, everything. All this is, whether it is acknowledged or not, but we as the academicians should acknowledge our own contribution towards the cause of Telangana intellectually. Academics maintained the same mindsets throughout the 10 years of the first decade of 2000s. Number of seminars again organized in this college itself, which aided the growth of Telangana separate movement starting from 2009 once again. Eventual success of separate Telangana was largely attributed to the student movement on the campuses of Osmania University, Kakatiya University, as well as backing by all other Telangana universities, campuses and the degree colleges and the whole education sector. So having said that, what was the situation during the United Andhra Pradesh? Education in the United State of Andhra Pradesh was characterized by the superimposition of the faculty from Andhra region, including universities, at all levels primary to the higher education, discrimination in financial assistance, restricted expansion in this region when compared to the Andhra and coastal regions, corporatization of the school and higher secondary education, and what we have seen is the overall neglect of the education per se in Telangana. As you all know that there used to be the aided schools, junior colleges, degree colleges and the etc. etc. Recruitments used to be made in the coastal Andhra and they were used to be sent to the Telangana colleges. And we used to wonder, we were aspiring for the jobs after completing MA. So even on the adjacent college, Andhra Mahila Suti, you go there, even now, you have illegally transferred, recruited there and transferred are the majority as a permanent faculty over there. So this is what the scenario to give certain examples in the United. As a result, during the Telangana movement, the entire history of the Telangana movement, The region's education system was crucial to the development of grievances and education techniques. The goal of this was to create a more equitable and superior educational system for the overall development of the separate state of Telangana. This was an ideal. What happened in the post-Telangana state? It was anticipated immediately when Telangana was declared in June 2014. It was anticipated that the state's entire educational system would be overhauled. Okay. A reorganization of the school, higher secondary and higher education sector was projected. Given the corporatization of education was perceived as a phenomenon of Andhra capital interest, decorporatization of the education was expected. It was predicted that the high-level expert committee would be established to examine the education sector's issues and with the inclusion of the various stakeholders of the region. But however, what took place after Telangana formation? All these expectations of the academic faculty never realized. The most important area of the education was completely disregarded by last 10 years by the TRS regime. This was indeed approved by the party leadership in the recent election campaigns. They have agreed that they have thoroughly neglected the education sector last 10 years, and they promised that if they were elected, they would look into. So I am not saying they have confessed themselves. The regime's governance structure, as a student of politics, it is important for me to characterize what was the governance model that was there in the 10 years. It was essentially, I would like to sort of term it as essentially patrimonial in nature. According to Max Weber is a sociologist and also a political scientist as well as a public administration person. Max Weber, he defined the patrimonialism. Patrimonialism is a type of political supremacy in which the royal household's personal power occupies dominant character. Well, we don't have the royal, but in a way it's a royal. So in accordance with this, the Telangana case, only ruler's family emerged as a source of authority. Again, it is not known, it is not my own kind of observation. The patriarch exercised the direct control over arbitrary power in all the sectors. The state's institutions and the administrative machinery never been autonomous. So this kind of control over the instruments of power allowed the patrimonial ruler to extend personal grace and favors to certain sectors and ignore the others. Education comes under ignored by we have not seen the grace of the patriarch. So the state's education system was blatantly disregarded. Since the patriarch never considered new or creative ideas from the government, civil society or bureaucracy, every level of education sector administrative structure had been subjugated to the maintenance of status quo. So last 10 years, what we have seen, a status quo has been continuing like the earlier United Andhra Pradesh. Thus in the previous 10 years, not much had been changed in the education sector. In the post-Telangana too, the issues that arose during the combined Andhra Pradesh continued to persist in the last 10 years. While the corporatization of the education at all levels, primary, LKG to the post-graduation level, continued unabatedly. The public education at primary, secondary and higher secondary, college and university level have never seen any grace of the patriarch. We can observe unprecedented growth of the private sector in education in the state from the elementary to the university education in the last 10 years. The structural issues of the public education sector at all levels, such as infrastructure, no recruitment of teaching faculty, and other positions in the educational institutions have been adversely affecting the education sector continuously. The number of teaching positions or vacancies in the public universities of Telangana, they are more than 2,000. Several times this has been reported. The undue delays even in the routine appointment of the heads of the universities, there was 2 + 2 years delay. And in between we had the rule of Babus, and which has sort of again further ruined the education administration in the universities. The establishment of the new women's university, a mere change of board rather than the new university. I am very critical that Osmania University should not be losing its jewel, that is Women's College. Its identity is Women's College. So how can simply convert it as a university? This is my kind of a perception. I am very vocal on this thing. If at all they really would like to come out with a separate Mahila University and would like to help the GER of the girl student and infrastructure, etc., come out with a new campus. Don't merely change the board. I don't know what this government would do it. One positive development of the last 10 years is the development of degree colleges at the degree colleges level, the expansion of residential colleges. These are divided into social, tribal and backward class and minority welfare institutions, which number something like 85 today. So again, there is a regular recruitment of faculties conducted in these colleges, but as the minister himself has said, but there are no adequate infrastructure facilities developed in all these colleges. There are other problems too. Since these are divided between the various universities of Telangana state, and each university has its own curriculum and its own almanac, these are varied, and all these welfare residential colleges, they face various administrative and academic problems. Though there was a demand and articulation for the establishment of a separate social welfare university, bringing all these residential institutions under one umbrella, and there was this demand, and in fact I have written article on this thing along with sociologist Chakrapani. But this was not taken into the consideration, hence even though these are expanded into 85, they have their own kind of a structural problems to reckon with. Coming to the general degree colleges. General degree colleges continue to face serious problems even after post-Telangana. According to the website of the Commissionerate of Collegiate Education of Telangana, there are 117 degree colleges under the government. Of this, only 6 were established in the post-Telangana. And these 6 which were established, they are there within the premises of schools and junior colleges. There are 2 or 3 shifts. You have a degree colleges in the junior college, and the laboratory, obviously junior college laboratory is not equipped to cater to the facilities required for the degree colleges. So hence, they were established, whatever the 6 number, but they are also, there are a lot of problems. And all these colleges in the state are understaffed. So far, maybe it should not be exaggeration to say that 2 decades, more than 2 decades, there is no recruitment of degree colleges faculty. Correct me if I am wrong. So, besides this thing, there was bureaucratic superimposed system where the academia of this region has taken back seat. I don't know, they termed it as a bucket system, drum system, lota system, I don't know. And there is another highly popularized cluster system. I made certain inquiries regarding these 2 systems. These 2 are in disaster. It has appeared in the newspaper that some great new reforms were brought and these two systems were introduced, but they remained on the paper. Nothing has materialized and impossible to materialize precisely because there is no faculty. And as a result of bureaucratic superimposition of these two systems, the existing problems are already there, and these have created new problems to the degree colleges, and which leave the students, faculty and the administrations in an uncertain position. I don't want to go into the details. Despite all these, gross enrollment ratio, which is popularized, GER of Telangana, is higher than the national average. It is 11.3% higher than the national average of 28. 28 I have written, but today's reports say it is 27.3%. So after new education policy, GER has declined 0.7%. Okay. The GER of Telangana is 38.9%. How to understand this thing? The higher enrollment particularly ascribed to the rapid expansion of the private education in and around Hyderabad city. So number of schools, number of colleges, universities have come in and around Hyderabad city, and maybe to a certain extent greater number of residential degree colleges, particularly women's colleges, and open distance learning contributes for 15 to 18% of GER in this state. So not new establishment of any other facilities. There is also issue with the GER calculation. It is calculated by dividing the total number of enrollments and the population. Now the population criteria is undertaken for the enrollment is a contemporary, present. Population is 2011 census. So obviously there would be some mismatch between these things. Hence there is a possibility of increased GER ratio. We don't have any census after 2011. So this is one aspect regarding to the GER. Constitutionally, education comes under the concurrent list. And both state and the center have power to make laws and policies on education. The Union government in July 2020 had come out with an overarching new education policy, NEP 2020. It claimed that it was inspired by the glorious ancient Indian education system. As you all know, the ancient education system of India, marred by the exclusiveness, great majority of the sections of society were religiously not allowed to enter into the educational institutions. So that is the inspiration which it claims. If you read that 48 or 58, 68 page document several times, it says that it has borrowed inspiration from the glorious past of ancient India, where majority sections were denied the education. And it says that, but not followed the constitutional morality. New education policy was not tabled on the parliament, debated, or any of the constitutional morality provisions were not undertaken in bringing out this new education policy. So this policy lacks the specific plan of action and full of contradictions. It is very high on ideals, but full of contradictions without any action plan. As a result, even today, it is being debated. I don't know why it is being debated, 68 possible, one can read it, understand. But number of seminars are being conducted. Next week, again, I have to go to deliver another keynote address on the same policy. Okay, so NEP was disputed, opposed by the states ruled by the opposition, precisely because it comes under the concurrent list, and no state government was taken consent on the parliament, nor even education ministers conference was organized by the union government. Okay, and these are not discussed in those conferences. So states like Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka and host of other states, they unequivocally rejected the new education policy. In fact, the government of Karnataka termed it as a Nagpur education policy, not new education policy. Okay. The last 10 years, what the TRS administration has not stated its stance clearly on the new education policy. It implicitly supported new education policy. This resulted in uncertainty whether NEP is there, good or bad, it is different. Whether it is there or not, there is uncertainty. This also shows the earlier regime's government's indifference towards the education system. Whether accepted, anything, whatever, it can be stated, but never stated. So, in the light of these brief observations, the following are my kind of I don't want to use the big word like recommendations that we expect this from the present government. Number one, the state government should assert its policy making power as per the constitutional provisions and unequivocally reject the new education policy 2020 like Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and other states. Number two, the state government should appoint a high-level expert committee like the Karnataka government did it. Okay? Committee to study the issues of education sector in the state and provide the policy prescriptions at all levels, elementary to the university. Number three, budget allocations should be increased to accommodate the emerging needs like infrastructure development and of all the educational institutions, etc. Number fourth, recruitment should be made at the all levels of the education sector from the elementary to the higher education system. Number five, the government should prioritize all the institutions' development with the minimum infrastructural facilities rather than exclusive focus only on the residential colleges. And lastly, privatization process to be regulated, private educational institutions to be made inclusive. So with this, I would like to thank Professor Ganesh and the Department of Sociology for inviting me here and so that I can put forward this random thought. Thank you very much.